Hello, welcome back to The Debate this Thursday evening with Liam Rosenior and Mark Schwarzer. We're going to start by talking about Aston Villa, but before we get into the football side of things, it's worth reflecting on the passing of Doug Ellis, who died earlier on today. How do you think he'll be remembered, Mark?
Well, I think he's an innovator when you talk about the way that the Premier League is today. He was the first chairman to appoint a non-British and Irish manager in the top flight football in this country, in Joseph Venglos. So, to have done that at that time was pretty amazing, I think. And I think, the way that he ran the club, stabilised the club, and some of the most exciting times in the club's history.
But what do you think, Liam? Because it wasn't universally loved at all times by Aston Villa fans. But now, with hindsight, how do you think he'll be remembered?
He cared about the football club. I think that's all you can really ask for a club owner. He passionately loved that football club, and when you're passionate about something, sometimes you are going to not be liked. You're not by everyone. You're going to make unpopular decisions, but I'm sure every decision he made for that football club was for the right reasons at that time. And I wish his family all the condolences. It's hard, but he's lived a great life, and I'm sure everyone at Aston Villa will remember his name with the respect it deserves.
I'm sure he will be remembered. Doug Ellis, of course, who died earlier on today. Meanwhile, at the club that he did care so passionately about, there's a new managerial team in place, and Dean Smith has been appointed. He seemed to be a lot of Villa fans' choice for the job. Is he the right man?
For me, yeah. For me, at this point of what Aston Villa need, I was asked, of my work with the EFL, I was asked about who they should appoint, and Dean Smith's been outstanding throughout his whole managerial career, let alone Brentford. He was outstanding at Walsall. And what he has is a really attacking philosophy. He's got a key identity. And as much as I like Steve Bruce as a manager, it wasn't happening for Aston Villa. They didn't have a way of playing. Now, with the players and the squad they've got there, with someone with a clear vision and a way that he wants to coach and wants to play, I think they're going to be a real threat. And the fact he's gone in there with John Terry, who understands the club, has been there recently, and obviously has fantastic leadership qualities, and he's going to be a huge help to him. And I think Dean Smith's going to be a huge help to John Terry as well, because he's been there and done it at a lower level, and he knows what it takes to be a manager at the top level.
How do you think you'll adapt from going from Brentford, where they had a unique system in play, like the Moneyball kind of system and stats based on signing players, to going to Aston Villa? Do you think he'll bring that across, or do you think he'll have to adapt, won't he? Because then
Brentford run in a unique way. What this Aston Villa team need is coaching. And Dean Smith's a great coach. That's why he was appointed by Brentford, because he fit in with the way they wanted to run the club from a footballing point of view, philosophically. So what Aston Villa need right now, Dean Smith is the perfect man for the job. And it's great to see them appoint someone who's not a top name that's played at the highest level. It's someone who's done the job and been outstanding. Out of the two managers in the Championship I can think of, Dean Smith and Chris Wilder at the moment, both come from lower leagues. Both have worked their way into great situations. Chris Wilder's doing a fantastic job at Sheffield United, but both have a really clear identity in the way they want to coach and play. And I think that was the huge point of why Aston Villa went down this route. And I think in time, it's going to be the correct decision.
Is the key to any success he might have unlocking those attacking players?
Yeah, it is, because they've got Balassi, Grealish, Abraham, Kodja. They're all top players at definitely at Championship level. The problem for them is if you're playing with Kodja and Abraham up front, you have to play Jack Grealish wide. Now, for me, he's not a wide player. Yannick Balassi plays best with a 4-3-3 in a 4-3-3 system, because he's an attacking winger. They've got El Ghazi as well, another really good winger. Now, Dean Smith's remit is to get the best out of those players, so he has to find a way of playing that's going to get the best out of your Jack Grealishes and Tammy Abrahams. If he does that, they've still got a great chance of getting promoted.
And yet, he's brought in, as you said, John Terry as his assistant, obviously a great defender in his time in the Premier League. What do you think, as a player as a person what do you think he brings to the role?
Well, first and foremost, he brings an enormous amount of experience as a player. And someone that has a clear understanding of the game. He's always been really interested in managing. I remember, when I was at Chelsea with him, with Jose Mourinho, he'd often have his little notepad on the bus after training, and he would be writing down the sessions. And you'd sort of kind of see,
How did that go down?
No, it's fine, absolutely. I mean, I know he did speak to the manager about it, so the manager was very understanding and knew that he was also taking a lot of the ideas down. But I think it was about for his own benefit, you know, to broaden his horizons, to have an understanding, maybe taking down sessions that he found were very, very good.
And as a person and as an influence around the club, how important could he be?
I think he's going to be very important. He's a real leader on and off the pitch. Particularly when I was there, you know, I can only speak very, very highly of him because I think that, you know, when I went to the club, he was always very accommodating, always the first person to come to you and say, listen, is there anything you need? I'll help you out. You know, knew the club, you know, inside out. And he worked incredibly hard. He knew that, you know, he had to because he was reaching, you know, the latter stages of his career, and he always, you know, was always trying to. He's a real winner. He's a natural-born winner, and that's something I think that he will try and influence the players as well. He'll have that opportunity. Players will just look up at him with respect straight the minute he walks through that door. Obviously, you've got to back it up, and I've got no doubt he'll be able to back it up with his knowledge of the game.
Well, what do you think in terms of in his qualities? Yes, that he's going to bring to the coaching side of the game, but also it's the case that he's got to work with this attacking squad, this very forward-looking squad. They want to see that sort of style of football. Is that something that he'll be able to work on, do you think, Liam? Is it easy to switch your mentality that way?
It's not easy. It's funny we speak about attacking capabilities because one of Aston Villa's big problems at the moment is conceding goals. I think they're third highest in the league at conceding the most goals. So, but what that's not just about looking at the back four.
He definitely has a job to do there.
He's got a big job. It's about playing as a collective. So if you're going to play attacking football, then you have to press the ball as a team to win a ball back high up. So there's a lot of things there, but a lot of it stems from when I've seen Aston Villa play over the last few weeks and months. There's not a cohesion there. They're quite far apart without the ball. They don't know whether they're playing long or they're playing out from the back. There's not a real cohesiveness, and there's something that Dean Smith in particular will bring, is that cohesiveness and coach the team as a unit, which is exactly what they need at the moment. And in John Terry, I think it's the perfect job for him. Assistant manager at a huge club, his stature demands that, the type of career that he's had. And he'll learn from someone like Dean Smith, who's done the harder hours at training grounds that aren't as great as Aston Villa's, who's put in the work on a training ground in terms of building a team and coaching a team. And I think it's a really good dynamic between the two of them. I think it could be great for them.
Will he be given the time? Is it something? Did Dean Smith have a system that takes time to actually be taken on board?
He doesn't. At Walsall, he did fantastic work on a shoestring. And he brought through some very, very good players at Walsall, playing in a way that the fans really enjoyed. And that's what made him so attractive to Brentford. Now, if you look at the squad that Brentford have had, they've consistently improved. He got them to the playoffs 2 years ago with very, very young players, the likes of Pritchard, who is now at Huddersfield. He had a very, very good way of playing with Brentford. And that's what fans demand now. I think the fans want more. Fans want to see their team win games, fine. But I think fans have more of an understanding of the game now. They want to see the game played in a certain way. And there's not many managers of the calibre of Dean Smith at the moment out there on our shores that have shown and proven with more than one club that they're able to do that.
But the question is, though, with the system he wants to play, how long will that take for him to bring that across to his players?
If you look at top coach like Sarri, for example, at Chelsea, now we know he has outstanding players, okay, but he has the same players pretty much that Conte worked with, and he's gone from one extreme to the other in a matter of 2-3 months. It is possible if you put the work in on the training ground, and you're a very, very good training.
But you're talking about different
coach.
qualities of players as well. So you're talking about top world-class players at Chelsea, for example, with that are able to adapt.
I'm talking about players that are hardly known at Brentford and Walsall, who he moulded into a very, very good team and was able to get the even more of the sum than the parts that he had. Now, that's for me what modern day coaching and management is.
But Aston Villa are a different club to they are. They're a bigger club, bigger demands. The fans have been crying out for a long, long time for a style of football.
But whether you're a huge club, a small club, a football pitch is a football pitch, and it's 11v11. I think sometimes that gets missed. If you're a good team with good players and you coach well, you've got a better chance than being a team with poor players being coached well. He's now working with better players than he's ever worked with before, no doubt. I don't think Brentford fans would disagree with that. Now, can he show that? Can he show his way of playing with even better players? Which for me that's the basis of all coaching.
And that's where John Terry will come into it as well, dealing with bigger personalities, because that's what he's going to have now as well. He's going to have bigger personalities at Aston Villa than he's probably had before. So John Terry will have that experience being able to communicate with those players, to put arms around them. He'll be that player, that manager or the assistant manager, whereby he's not making always the hard decisions. He's not necessarily seen as the bad guy. He's the guy that can go in there and be that connection between the players and the manager.
And of course, they're going to have Pitach in charge. He's going to be the sporting director, so making sure that there is that overall formula that they're working to. So with the three of them, you're making a strong case, both of you, for success for Aston Villa, which brings us to this tweet that's been sent in to us asking if Smith and Terry can take Villa up this season. So make all the arguments you want, but it comes down to a yes or no.
It's possible. It's possible. There's a lot of very good teams in the Championship this year.
On,
no,
Liam.
I'll get killed by 23 other champions. Yes, they can. It's possible. With the players they've got and the expectations and the quality of players they're working with, there's no reason why they can't. They're not far away from the top 6. And in the Championship, 3-game week, you win 3 in a row, you go up 10 places, and all of a sudden, you're pushing the top 2. Sheffield United at the top, they lost the first 2 games of the season. Just goes to show what a difficult league it is.
Yes, he can. Yes, they can.
Yes, they can.
Yes, they can, but not necessarily yes, they will.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable enough. I'm interested, as somebody who's got an eye on a management career, potentially, in your views on the pathway that John Terry has taken, because rather than other players who were in that same generation, you've seen Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard take the top job straight away.
Yeah.
What do you make of John Terry's decision to work in this way, underneath an experienced manager?
I think it's sensible. I think if he's not... To take a top job, I think you will be found out very quickly if you're not, 1, capable, or 2, confident of doing the job. If you show any type of weakness to a group of footballers, regardless of your stature in the game as a player, they will smell it out. So if John isn't fully confident that I can go in as a number 1, I think it's a really logical step for him to take at this moment in his career, to learn the ropes in terms of taking sessions, in terms of the sheer hours. That's what I'm learning, the sheer hours it takes to coach right now. It's an 8 till 6, 8 till 8, 24-hour day job. And if he's not fully prepared to put himself out there as a number 1, to learn from someone like Dean Smith as well, who's had a completely different perspective in terms of football, in terms of the way his career's gone, I think it's a really clever move from John. And in time, with development of his coaching on the training ground, and development of dealing with all the off-field issues, dealing with different types of players, their personalities, that will stand him in good stead for his own managerial career in the future.
It's interesting, isn't it, those 3 players, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard and John Terry, they're all taking 3 different types of routes. I mean, Frank Lampard's gone straight into a Championship job without having any prior sort of experience, or limited. Steven Gerrard did the under-23s at Liverpool for a season, and obviously JT's come in now as an assistant manager. I mean, you can even, not in that generation, obviously, with England, but look at Harry Kewell. Harry Kewell went under-23s, then went to Crawley Town, so he's even gone down further and making that journey upwards. So it's interesting to see whether all 3 are actually work.
Yeah.
You know, because at the moment, you know, 3 of them are seeming to be working, and JT's just going in there. So it'll be interesting to see in the next sort of 6 to 12 months where they all stand.
But when you talk about his approach to learning the game, learning to play football, is that the same kind of approach that you think that he's taking to management, to go in and learn every detail?
Yeah, you have to. There's no way in the world that you can go into management and actually taper off. I've had managers in the past, big names, where you walk in the door and you think, wow, what a player he was, what a legend in the game. But then the actual communication, the work on the football pitch wasn't what you were expecting, and probably not what they were as a player. And they relied more on the fact that they had that experience, they'd sit back and they'd manage rather than actually did a lot of the work on the pitch. Sometimes that works. If you have the right people around you, that can work. But if you've got similar people around you, it doesn't work.
It's a completely different skill set. It's a completely different skill set. Being a top player from being a top coach, having the empathy to work with players, having an understanding of the game. Every player knows the game. Every player that's played football knows the game, but they don't know how to teach or how other players learn. That's what you learn when you coach. Because how I teach you, it would be completely different to how I coach you. And that's one thing that maybe John hasn't quite got to grasp with. How do I connect with player A compared to player B? How do I manage my time on the training ground? There's so many other different things that come into it. So you have to be fully sure I'm ready to go and step into a number 1 job, because any type of weakness will be shown up. And some players have done it. They've gone straight in. Your old man, he didn't do bad. He didn't do bad. He was all right back then. He was all right. So there are people who are outstanding at what they do, and they can go straight in and be a top manager. There are others who have to take their time, and I think if John's not fully confident in that, it's a fantastic decision from him.
So you talk about the skills that they need to learn and the move from being a player and even being the famous sort of John Terry quote, captain, leader, legend. As much as they may be a leader on the pitch, there are different skills that they need to learn. But what are the skills that they can bring with them, these top-level players, into management?
Unbelievable experiences. Look at the managers that John Terry's worked with. If you're saying he's taken down coaching sessions from Jose Mourinho sessions at Chelsea, they're not going to be bad. They're not going to be bad.
And he's done it throughout as well for various managers he's worked under. So he's got a combination of variety of different managers.
And that goes to show that the foresight he has and the foreplanning that he's, which is something you definitely need as a manager. But a lot of people have said to me, I want to be a manager. I'm desperate to be a successful manager, whether that's in 6 months or 6 years or whenever. But you need to be fully prepared to do the job, and you need to put the work in to do it. Yeah. So what I'm saying about John right now is maybe he's having that much foresight to say, I'm not quite ready, but I want to go into it. What a fantastic football club to start at.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, he's close with Frank Lampard, so I'm sure they've had discussions about what it takes. Not anymore, but what it was like to manage a club. You know, what does it actually mean to be that head person when you walk into a football club? Yeah. And I think what's really, really important is that, and more so today, is about how you communicate, how you convey the messages. Understanding the game is one thing, like you said, Liam, but you've also got to be able to translate that, show players, teach them, and not think that the basics is too basics and players want to have something really, really complicated. It's actually not. Most of the time, you actually need to coach the basics more often than not.
Do you think that players understand the manager's job while they're playing?
No. Not at all. It's a lot harder than when we think as players sometimes. With me, I was 10, my dad in the dugout with my dad. I have a semi-understanding of what it was like for him to go through what he went through as a manager, and maybe that's motivated me to want to do it so much. Maybe I'm crazy to want to do it. So, but no, I don't think you do. Even planning training sessions, numbers, making sure that what you want out of the session comes out, that you're explaining exactly what you want from him. And sometimes the best way to coach is not to say anything and let the players learn. So learning when to take a step forward and say what you want and take a step back and let the players learn, that's a key part of coaching and management, and that's something that takes time to learn, unless you're a Kenny Dalglish who just walks in there and wins 10 league trophies or whatever it was.
Well, you need two caps.
Couple.
Just a couple more than me.
Pushing. Come on, Liam.
You need two caps, don't you? You need to be. You have to manage and coach. So, like you're saying, you need to know when to go in there and coach and actually try and teach them something, give them the information, and the other times is manage that situation, whether you step back or don't.
It's also things off the pitch, like your standards off the pitch, your culture, your conduct, how you maintain discipline for a squad. Your reading of characters. Do you have the right chemistry with the group? I'm not talking on the pitch. I'm talking about personalities, understanding people. That's what 80% of the job is, understanding people, what they're about and what they can bring to help you all get to where you want to be.
Are you surprised there's not more ex-goalkeepers as managers now?
There's starting to be a lot.
There's not
No,
many.
there are. Yeah.
Not top managers like you, though, Gaffer.
Yes. It's your job to
Yeah, I was going to say.
it's your job to go and look
Yeah.
and find out.
What do you enjoy most about being a manager?
Everything. The way.
Every aspect of management you enjoy.
Of course, you have to love your job. If you love the game and the way I do, the way we do as a team, and the way we want to, what we want to achieve, you have to love every aspect of it. There are parts they're going to be harder. Speaking to the press is one of them.
Come on, you're having a good time now, aren't you?
Yeah, because I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Ah.
But if you tell me that what you prefer, to be in the pitch training or sitting here with you, you know the answer.
Well, I think that's a good note to leave it then. Get out on the pitch.
Okay, cheers.
Thank you.